So today what we're going to do is we are going to do player ratings because, you kind of have to be perfect in order to rate other people. And since we are clearly that, we're going to do it. We're going to kind of go around in a roundtable format for players who have had 10 or more Premier League appearances this year. Premier League only, not cups or anything else. Going to give some stats, and we're going to try to involve the chat. So give your ratings out of 10. I'll try to read as many as I can on there, and then we're going to go to you guys to give your ratings out of 10. Any comments you want to make as well. We got a lot of players to go through, so hopefully we'll be able to make it quick. So let's start with the lowest jersey number, kit number of all of them. Hector Bellerin played the first 17 games of the season. Missed it around 4 games around the festive period with a calf strain. Came back for 2 games and then did his ACL. But he actually played almost exactly half the season. 5 assists in that half of the season. Andy, what do you think of Bellerin's abbreviated season?
I was impressed with the abbreviated season based off of comparison from last year. I thought he was one of the players under Emery that had improved. It's unfortunate that we didn't get him the full season because I think some of those losses would have been wins. So I was really impressed with him, and I think that coming back this season, he's going to be a guaranteed starter. I just want us to have a better backup going forward.
So out of 10, what would you give Bellerin?
I'd probably give him an 8.
Okay, and we can really only rate the games that he played. You can't take into account that he only played half a season. Lee, thoughts on Bellerin?
Yeah,
one who got a lot of scorn from some of your compatriots last year.
I echo what Andy says there. To be honest, I felt that he definitely was a big improvement up on his last season. I'm still not convinced with his defending, if I'll be honest. I think that we need to improve all round there, and we were still conceding goals while he was there. But I felt it was a good season from him, and unfortunately cut short. And I do agree that maybe we'd have got a couple more wins along the way with him in that position, because I think he's probably more natural at that position. But I think Andy was a little bit generous with the 8. So for me, it was about a 7.
You're not going to come out of the gate giving out big numbers, are you?
No.
7 for Lee. The chat room gives Danny gives him a 7. Michael Hernandez an 8. Matt Walker 7.3. Got to love the decimals there. Matt Belcher 7. Alonzo Spencer 7. I'm going to try not to set the bar too high, but Bellerin was one of our better players in the first half of the season, I feel. So I'd say I will give him a 7.2. And we'll go on from there. So next on the list, Socrates Papathapathapathapas. That is the official. I got
fantastically said.
I got my Greek friends. Oh yeah, and with Leon, I'm going to actually make you say the name before we go on. Socrates, most cards of anyone on the team. 12, all yellow though, in the Premier League. No reds, other than the one that he got in the Europa League. He's a dick, and that's why we got him. He's one of 2 dicks that we picked up this year. Andy, your thoughts on Socrates?
Yeah, I think he adjusted well to the Premier League. I know it can take a while for a defender to come in. I don't think that he made any tremendous mistakes. I'll probably give him a 6 or 7 for the season. Because I feel like he's not that out-and-out center back who can control. He's better when he's playing with someone who can command an area. But I was impressed with him for his first season.
Okay, so I'm marking him down for a 6.5 from you then. Indecisive piece of Lee. Socrates. First say it.
I don't know what's going on here. I'm agreeing with Andy. I don't know what's going on here, right? I think for his first season, I think it's pretty good season, if I'll be honest. For exactly the same things that Andy has said for him being in the Premier League first season around. I honestly don't think though, if we're going to go on and be challenging for titles, that he's going to be one of the main defenders. I think that he would be a backup, if at best. But strong enough season this season. Yeah, I'd say a 7 again for him, to be honest. I think that he's done okay.
All right, and Winston's or the person whose dog is named Winston is giving him a 7. Grant 7.5. Kerry McCollum 7. Michael Hernandez is 7. He's gotten a 6.9 from Matt Walker. Lewis says you're wrong, Lee, and I would agree. He is one of those players where his presence on the pitch is more valuable than his actual playing ability in my eyes. The attitude that he brings, the toughness, the ability to seemingly make the person standing next to him better. Even Mustafi, I think, was better when he was next to Socrates than he was when he was next to anyone else. I think was most important. Not the most dynamic center back. I certainly would have put him in the class of some of the other center backs in our league or in Europe. So I'll give him a 6.8. Don't think as impactful as Bellerin was, but he was fine, and I would keep him around for next season. Koscielny, Andy. Koscielny had made 17 appearances after returning from the most predictable Achilles injury in the history of sports. Frankly, I think the Greek hero Achilles was less likely to get an Achilles injury than Koscielny was. He returned to the squad after missing the first 16 games, played the full 90 minutes, 12 out of his final 17 games, and another 6 times in Europa. So I was wrong about him being done. But when you evaluate his play on the whole, forgetting about the coming back from injury caveat, what would you put him at?
It's a good question, Mike. I mean, the injury thing for me, because I've read multiple places that he's still carrying that injury, and if that be true, then I'd give him an 8. But
you can't let that factor in, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but my football brain's
comparing him to somebody else.
My football brain's gonna say 7, because again, I thought he was a decent center back for us. He stepped up, even if he was hurt. He scored some important goals. He did have some fuck ups with Southampton. I think that I wouldn't be sad if this was the last season that we saw Koscielny in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it would be difficult probably to see him gone just from a sentimental standpoint, but the sentimental standpoint's what keeps getting us into these positions.
Right.
So a 7 from Mandy. Lee, what do you think?
Yes, listen, when I look back at the game against Leicester, the goalkeeper kicks the ball out and Socrates and Koscielny can't deal with that. And those sort of defensive errors get to me, I'll be honest, but fantastic recovery to come back the way he has done. But that doesn't mean to say that he should be getting an eye mark, because every time that since he's been back in the side, we're still conceding goals left, right and centre. So I think, you talk about Achilles, our defending is our Achilles heel, it's our weakness. And if you start giving all of these players 7s and 8s, well, we're screwed, aren't we? Because, defensively not good enough. For me, 6 out of 10. He's done well to come back. It's been fantastic that he's come back. But we've conceded goals in every game that he's played in, probably bar 1. But, he's not just the problem. But I'm so pleased that he has come back and proved everybody wrong by coming back. But for me, 6 out of 10.
All right, 6 out of 10. Again, I mean, his mistakes were as always when they're not all that common, but they're bad when he makes them. And I mean, I just separating out the sentimental part and the fact that he played better than I expected him to. And frankly, he came back, I believe, just as Rob Holding got hurt, and therefore kind of got thrown into the fire a lot more than he probably would have. And he came through it okay. So again, I would probably give Koscielny a 6.5. from a play standpoint, but pleased that he came back and was able to be a leader on this team in his own specific way. Koscielny got a lot of range of votes there in the chat. 7s from Michael, Becca, Highbury, Lurker, Matthew Belcher 8.5, Matt Walker 6.9, Alonzo 8.2, Grant 8. So I think a lot of people are crediting his return and his and the play relative to his injury more than they're just looking at the flat play. But 4th on our list, number 7, Henrik Mkhitaryan, and we will be talking about him more in a bit. But as far as his play in the Premier League this season, 25 appearances, the third highest goal total on the team with 6, despite missing 8 games in a row with a broken toe. Andy, what do you say about Mkhitaryan? Kind of frustrating player, isn't he?
Yeah, because we saw glimpses some of the matches where we saw the Dortmund Mkhitaryan, but for me, I'm going to give him probably a 5. We just didn't see enough, and as an attacking player, that goal total should have been way higher. He put some really, really good balls on target, but they just, the finishing just wasn't there. I mean, he was in the position, he connected with the ball, but it would go wide or it'd go over, and it's like you need to trouble the keeper, or at least force him to make a save. 200,000 on wage bill. I just don't see a reason for us to be keeping him around. I think for a player of his caliber, we could probably ship him for, according to transfermarket.co.uk, his value is around 27 million right now. So if that's accurate, I think we should ship him. Yeah,
I grab him. Lee, is 6 goals not enough from one of 2 people who probably should be your third highest goal scorer on your team behind your strikers?
Well, I've got to say I've been disappointed, if I'll be honest. Overall, the season, I felt that in the beginning he was poor. They had that little spell. Do you remember he come back from injury, he played some really good
right
games,
after he came back.
Really, and I thought, wow, this is it now. And he had a spell about of a month where he was brilliant. But you're talking over a 9-month season, and to do it in 1 month, it's not good enough. And you can say that about a lot of players I know, but for me, for what he is and what he, the amount of money that we spent on him via wages and all that, I think it's been a bit disappointment. And for me, 5 out of 10.
Got to ask the chat something. Are we having this situation again where I'm the only one that's appearing on the screen while other people are talking? That happened about 2 months ago, and that is how it's starting to look in the chat. So I may have to start forcibly clicking on people so that they appear when they're talking. So my bad on that. Just let me know if that's what you're seeing. And by the way, I am not chatting as the Gooners podcast right now. That would be Andy. So next player is
I think they can tell it's me when I'm calling you a screen slut.
Yeah, well, you never know. I'm pretty self-flagellating or whatever. Lee, repeat for me again what your rating was for Mkhitaryan.
5 for me.
Okay.
Man, Lee and I are not going to disagree until we get to Zaha.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably give him a 4.5. Other than that one stretch, he's been incredibly disappointing. I backed him to come back this year and thrive under the tutelage of Unai Emery, and it just hasn't happened. So a 4.5 for me, and 4s and 5s are pretty much the common thread in the chat as well. Next,
Justin Trujillo saying he upgrade over the Alexis. So I suppose.
Well, I mean, anybody's an upgrade over the current Alexis that we have.
True.
Fucking off at United right now.